Hey, thanks so much for tuning into the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. It is Soak It Up Saturday. I'm going to be actually reading several verses in Genesis chapter 50. We learned and discovered yesterday that Jacob had passed away. In the start of Genesis chapter 50, we see here that Joseph, the son, he's just weeping, he's mourning, he's grieving. A process that maybe you have gone through, maybe you're going through right now, and it's completely normal. It's actually healthy to mourn, to grieve, and grieving is a process. Grief is a process. It's a process that you should not do it alone. We understand and know that God is our comforter. The Holy Spirit is our guide. He is our helper. But we also have to have other people in our life that God can use to reassure us, to comfort us as well, to encourage us. And so I want to encourage you that if you're in that process, to find the right people in your life that you can find comfort and peace in this time of loss. And we see here that they mourn for many, many days, weeks actually. And so again, going through the grieving process looks different for every single person. Here's the thing though. We will all face loss. We will all face death. That's 100% statistic. We will all die. And there are some people and loved ones that will die before us. And so it's going through that process of grief and that loss that we can find comfort, that we can find peace in our relationship with God and have other people in our life to encourage us. And so we see here that Joseph obeys his father's commands and goes and buries him. And this is where fear comes in with the brothers, because obviously Joseph was one of the favorites. And now that the father is dead, they're like, what is Joseph going to do now? Like, he's in this leadership position here. He has the right. He could kill us right now. And fear comes. Now listen to how Joseph responds to this. And this is really an act of forgiveness, an act of not holding or not harboring unforgiveness. And that is a challenge for all of us. And that's the encouragement not to do today. Let's listen to the example of Joseph. After burying Jacob, Joseph returned to Egypt with his brothers and all who accompanied him to his father's burial. But now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers became fearful. Now Joseph will show his anger and pay us back for all the wrong we did to him, they said. So they sent a message to Joseph. Before your father died, he instructed us to say this to you. Please forgive your brothers for the great wrong they did to you, for their sin in treating you so cruelly. So we, the servants of the God of your father, beg you to forgive our sin. When Joseph received the message, he broke down and wept. Then his brothers came and threw themselves down before Joseph. Look, we are your slaves, they said. Now again, Joseph has a choice right here. He had every right to do whatever he felt like they deserved, but listen to how he responds in verse 19. But Joseph replied, "Don't be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. No, don't be afraid. I will continue to take care of you and your children." So he reassured them by speaking kindly to them. That's a man of God right there. That's a man who understands the plan and purpose that God has on his life, understanding that all the wrong and the uncertainty and the waiting and all the things, that the harsh treatment and being wrongfully accused was all in God's plan, and God developing him and God pruning him to being in the position that he is in right now. And he gives God all the glory, forgives his brothers for all the wrongdoings that they have done to him, and says, hey, to God be the glory. God put me in this position so I can save the lives of others. That is a man on mission. That is a man who understands the plan and purpose that God has for him. Let's choose to do that today. There are going to be people in our lives that will try to tear us down. There are going to be people in our lives that will try to build us up, and then the next day try to tear us down. Let's not put our trust and our dependency and our value on other people, but let's stay focused on the plan and purpose that God has for us. And then we'll be able to treat people and forgive others the way that God treats us and the way that God forgives us. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I want to encourage you to join us tomorrow morning for Mother's Day. And I want to encourage you to come and join us, Shrewsbury Assembly right on Main Street. And then we'll be back on Monday for the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.